raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder rolls, the fire's in the sky. We've been waiting for this moment all our lives. The darkness gathers, the evil takes its form, but side by side we ride into the storm. They thought they could blind us. Together we ride into the storm.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody out there is doing well and having a fantastic Wednesday hump day. And yeah, what's going on in the world? What's happening out there? Man, it's crazy to watch it all unfold, but it's glorious at the same time. And never thought it would take this long, never thought it would be this way, but here it is coming. We are cueing the storm. And so, by the way, if you ever notice the Daily Dose, I use a lot of the same titles over and over and over again. It makes it really difficult to go out there and search for one show, right? But there's only been one other time I used Cue the Storm, and I use QUE, the wrong Q, because, speak Spanish and we're going to say, what, the storm, right? But this is Cue the Storm. No, we're not going to go over the history of Q. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to get into what's unfolding right now, because everything happening right now, everything that is unfolding is related to what was happening between October 28th, 2017, all the way up to present day. The terrible, terrible mistakes made by the deep state trying to take down Donald Trump, who now is the most powerful man in the freaking world. So amazing time to be alive to watch this all unfold. There was this guy on X, and he's putting out this Q map thing. It's actually pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. But I'm like, hey, look, and the reason I commented is because I look at things like this and I'm like, we're deviating away from the whole purpose of what the boards were about. Does that make sense? This is what Alpha and I have been trying to tell people, right? This is about action. This is about action now. We're outside of like, man, let's decode this and break this down. Like, we're not there. And I even stopped Alpha from a lot of this. So I'm like, dude, we got to stop decoding. It's not about the decodes. We can find relevance. We can find the contextual reference frame and say, hey, look. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Bad internet cable. I apologize. I got to get this. It's a 50-foot cable, so I got to get it replaced. But going back into it, is what we want to do is we want to validate the research. We want to validate the boards, and that's what we're doing. But from the messages that we got early on in DEF CON, from kind of what we were watching, the people that we know or believe that are involved in this, is that, hey, the boards are now here. The boards are being validated in real time. And so I wrote this reply. I'm probably going to turn it into a blog post, but I wanted to read this, right? If you understand the Q boards and you understand what I'm about to tell you, a lot of people completely miss the point. Q was never just about decoding messages. It wasn't some endless scavenger hunt where the goal was to crack a hidden code years later with AI and suddenly unlock the final revelation. The posts were contextual. They were designed to point people towards public information, hidden connections, media manipulations, intelligence operations, corruption networks, and the criminality buried beneath the official narrative. It was an information warfare operation, psychological warfare against a corporate media apparatus and narrative control system itself. The entire purpose was to create decentralized research, citizen journalists, digital soldiers, alternative media, millions of people independently digging, cross-referencing, archiving, researching, exposing, and sharing information the mainstream media intentionally ignored or covered up. That is why you see independent media exploding right now, while trust in corporate media is collapsing. The map was not some mystical cipher. The map was the exposure of the 100-year globalist agenda, the intelligence apparatus, the capture of institutions, the corruption surrounding the Obama years, Fast and Furious, Benghazi, Uranium One, Ukraine, Burisma, CrowdStrike, censorship networks, lawfare, election interference, media coordination, and the broader push towards centralized global governance. And the reason there haven't been any new Q posts, or at least this is my opinion, is because much of it has already transitioned into the mainstream battlefield itself. What was once dismissed as conspiracy discussions is now openly unfolding through DOJ investigations, grand juries, executive orders, declassification battles, congressional hearings, media exposure, and the political conflict surrounding Trump's second administration. News unlocks the map didn't mean hidden codes unlock reality. It meant current events would eventually validate and reveal the bigger picture in real time. Some people are still stuck believing the answer is hidden inside some old post, waiting for AI to stitch together the final secret message, but the mindset completely misses the original purpose. The goal was never passive decoding. The goal was activating millions of people to challenge narrative control and expose corruption as it unfolded publicly. That's where we're at right now. That is where we are at right now. And that's what this is all about. That's why we do this day in and day out. That's what this is. That's what this big fight, this big battle is all about. And you know, things are going to start happening very, very fast here. Over the course of the next few months, we are going to go into hyperspeed when it comes to what we're seeing unfold. If you read the news today, yep, you're seeing Tom Homan in New York. You have grand juries, in Fulton County. You have the DOJ going out there and with the FBI doing raids in Virginia and Los Angeles. It's happening, people. So we can never forget that fact. I mean, it's fun to go over them. It's fun to look at them. And I don't look at them as like a relic. I look at them as a construct of understanding kind of what's happening and how it's unfolding. But I guess I'm just to the point where I don't need it as a reference anymore, I guess, because it's all happening. It's right there in front of us. So I love looking at these types of things like this. And if you don't know what the boards are, if you're wondering, like, is this that QAnon thing? Yeah, it kind of is. And I wouldn't call it QAnon because it's Q and Anons. And what that was an information dissemination program, an intelligence operation utilizing psychological warfare to targeted towards patriots, targeted towards military personnel, conspiracy theorists, MAGA, and really anybody who would listen on the old 4chan boards to wake them up to what was actually unfolding and happening in the world and to take back over the idea of information. When you start to look at all the various different warfare domains that exist out there, we got land, air, space, sea, right? We got all of these. Then you got information. Well, here's the key, is information is the one domain that is primary to all. It exists within all different levels of terrestrial domains and space domains. Information is the key of all domain warfare. And once you understand that, once you realize that your whole life you have existed within this framework of psychological warfare, manipulation, influence operations, then you have to take a step back and start to adjust your mind on how to filter out the information and how to discern what you're watching, what's happening in the world, how to look at things differently from a different perspective, because that is truly the methodology that is going to allow you to see when people are trying to manipulate you, when you're trapped within a psychological warfare operation, when people are trying to draw you into their narrative. We talked about it last night. Perception is belief. And what is perception? Perception is the context of all of our senses, the overwhelming of all of our senses, taking in information from every which angle, whether it's environmental, outside in nature, or whether it's social media, whether it's podcasts, whether it's Fox News, CNN, doesn't matter. All of that information inundates yourself, your mind, your brain. And if you choose to believe what you see, then you will fall into the trap. The idea is to pull yourself out of the system, as Q would say, the 40,000-foot view. You have to look at all things from above. You cannot just sit there and look at a linear perspective of what is unfolding. You have to expand yourself above it and look at all the various different parallels. You have to use discernment in the context of, hey, is this person giving me good information? Can I prove and validate this information? Is this information that they're giving me, is it speculative? Is it opinion? Or they're stating it as a fact? This is the domain that we exist in. And it is so critically important for us to understand that and to move forth from this point, because there's going to be a time very, very soon when the deep state's going to get prosecuted. They're going to get put away. The globalists are going to be dismantled. The United States is going to enter a new renaissance, a golden age. And here's the thing, is as technology progresses, threat actors, bad guys, black hats, everybody is going to be trying to gather your attention and stray you towards their narrative. And it's only going to get more difficult as time goes on. But as of right now, we are coming into a moment to where this is not always going to be there. You're not always going to have Donald Trump in the office. You're not always going to have the most powerful man in the world in the House of the presidency that is directing the DOJ to do what needs to be done, that is directing the Department of War to do what needs to be done. Sometimes you're going to have someone in there that's just a pussy, that's just a little bitch. And you're going to have to go out there, and we're going to have to think through the situation and the problems and the events that unfold. We were not building up to this moment. We're preparing for tomorrow's world. That's what's going on. We were not building up to this exact moment. We were preparing for the future world. The future world where technology dominates inside and out, and that we have to have these refined skill sets of understanding the domain of warfare that we exist in, because there's never going to be a point in your life where you're not going to exist in that domain. Man, what a time to be alive, right? I think that was a cool little monologue, right? I like that monologue. That's a good one. All right, guys. A few different updates. Tonight, the live Q&A after this show. So directly after the show, we go to the live Q&A that is on Zoom. You're like, well, Josh, where do I get the Zoom link? You go to redpills.tv, redpills.tv, redpills.tv. And if you go on over to redpills.tv, and there's right, I always get the wrong finger out. Right there, redpills.tv. There's my finger right behind the mic. Redpills.tv. If you go on over there and you go to premium, the premium tab, you can find all the different places of where you can subscribe to become a premium member for $5 a month, $5.99 a month, or whatever. It's $4.99 or $5.99, depending if it's Apple, iOS, or website. But it's socialredpill.com. It's our private social network. YouTube, X. We have Locals and Substack. So those are the places that we have available right now. We're working to try to get Rumble on there because we got a lot of subscribers on Rumble and we want to get them into it, but we have no way to contact you, no way to private message you. So unfortunately, it's very difficult. They make it very difficult, but we're working with Rumble to try to get that. But if you want to get into that live Q&A tonight, that is where to go to get that information. Right there, redpills.tv. And I hope to see a lot of you guys there. Tomorrow, the OG show. Our guest hasn't confirmed yet, but that's okay. If we have the guest, it's going to be a banger show. If we don't have the guest, it's going to be a banger show. So make sure that you're watching that tomorrow night, Thursday night, with myself and Alpha Warrior. Before we get into the news, and there's a little bit of news today. There's some big news today, a little bit of news today, but it's good news. And it's all winning. And then there's some confirmation of things that you and I have talked about that we're seeing that other people aren't even putting together yet. But before we do that, I got to bring in a good bud of mine, and you guys all know him. But we're going to bring in Gabe real quick. Gabe.
Hey, Josh. How's it going?
You look like you're in a hotel room.
Yeah, I'm living in this hotel room. It's near Denver, and we make our product there in Denver. And so I'm just staying so busy that I haven't been able to leave and go. I've been spending most of the year here in Colorado now. I'm out here most of the time. We just had a snowstorm, actually.
That's what Jason was saying.
Yeah. It was just a short one. It's like it's going to warm right back up. But yeah, it was beautiful snow. But anyhow, I hope you're doing well. And I wanted to mention a couple of things about gut health, and then I got a couple of things with kind of going back to the tumblers we did. I'm going to mention that here in a minute too. And anybody that had to wait for the tumblers, just let you know how good a quality they are. But they take like 30. They took like, well, they're done, but and all of them are out. But they took 36 minutes per tumbler to produce them, and they're really. I mean, there's like texture on that,
Oh, yeah,
it's like
they're awesome.
Yeah, they're really nice. Yeah. But the printer ran out of ink, so they had to wait for their ink to come in, and that's why some of them got out kind of late. But it's worth it because they're so good. They're really good quality. But so there's that. But so the whole thing, we always talk about how people have gut health issues like acid reflux and chronic constipation, and we know we're getting all the great feedback and testimonials and reorders from people that these very specific things, they're helping with that. And then the things we've talked about like protein utilization and that sort of thing. But I wanted to kind of go back. A while back, you were one that pointed out the research related to cardiovascular disease and the microbiome. And so I was just kind of doing some reading, and I was just connecting some dots here this afternoon. And I wanted to bring up some points that we've talked about, but I want to connect some dots here. So other than now all the toxins that are in the environment and that are getting into our blood, like the forever chemicals and all of these other things, pesticides, in a healthy environment, in a healthy world, almost all of the metabolites in your blood are produced by the microbiome. So that's the short chain fatty acids, vitamins, amino acids. It's primarily, all the complexity of the metabolites and chemicals that are circulating through your blood system are produced by the microbiome. That's a very big point if you want to try to understand how important the microbiome is to your health. But with a healthy microbiome, there's some research that shows that 30% of the B vitamins in your body are produced by the microbes. So they're actually taking in energy food source like the prebiotic fiber that we use in GOODBRU, inulin, and they're converting that into with other nutrients, converting that into metabolites of all sorts. And one of the big ones is B vitamins, then the short chain fatty acids. But for example, B12, for example, B12 is very much connected to neurological, disease, cardiovascular health, or prevention of neurological disease. The B12 plays a big role in the myelin sheath, and that's coats the neurons. In cardiovascular disease and many other things, B12 is very, very important, and so are other B vitamins. But particularly for cardiovascular disease, there's B12, which we have to get from our food, like from meats and somewhat from fermented foods, or from it's also produced largely by the microbiome. The other one is a really big one that's really important to cardiovascular health is vitamin K. And there's K1 and K2. K1 is not very bioavailable. We get that from plant sources. And then we get K2 from fermented foods. But our microbiome is really responsible for producing a lot of the K2. And the K2 has a lot of roles to play. We know about its bone health and how it works with vitamin D. Yep. But it's really important to the calcium, preventing the calcium and regulating calcium buildup in the arteries. And so when you think about the connection that you pointed out a while back with the studies that are linking the microbiome to heart disease. Well, if you think about just the fact that the microbiome is highly responsible for producing K2 and B12, I mean, that in and of itself is a very, it's a very important thing that you can directly point to that we know about that would give some, more credence to the studies that are just sort of saying that, people with less diverse microbiomes or unhealthy microbiomes are having higher rates of heart attack and cardiovascular disease. So there's a real important, those vitamins are important for so many functions in our body, but I think it's a really direct, correlation to that research about heart diseases. And so people should really understand that.
And another part about that as well is that when your gut bacteria microbiome are not in harmony and alignment, when you have bad gut bacteria, candida, so forth, is that your body becomes deficient in a lot of those vitamins and minerals because it stops producing it. Instead, those candida are actually producing toxins, which overload your lymphatic system and all of your other systems in your body.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a feeds on itself. When we get unhealthy, our body starts scavenging more and more of these nutrients, and then we have less of them. And one of the groups of people that are particularly low in B12 or K2 are people that have been on antibiotics. So they, killed the microbiome, and they're low in those nutrients. And also other groups of people as well. As we get older and that sort of thing, we tend to be low.
So how many tumblers, Gabe, do we have left? And everybody out there, if you didn't know, we're talking about GOODBRU here, and GOODBRU is one of the sponsors of the show, and we bring Gabe on every once in a while to talk about it. And I think the whole audience is using GOODBRU right now. So it's an awesome product. I use it every morning, twice a day. I use it with my morning coffee and then my mid morning coffee, and I put a scoop in each. And the stuff is absolutely phenomenal. So if people don't know what we're talking about here, talk about goodbrew.com/redpill, GOODBRU.com/redpill. And that's brew spelled BRU, goodbrew.com/redpill. Gabe, how many tumblers do we have left?
Yeah. So we had left four. We were left with 4 of the tumblers. They're in the boxes here, and the printer also just randomly, just to show me they can make shirts, made up a few of these same thing that's on the tumblers on the shirt. Can you see that? Yeah. So I got 4 of those and 4 of the tumblers. So we got to do something with them. So what I'm thinking is anybody, the next 8 people who order a large or a 3-pack, they're just going to get either the tumbler or the shirt. So the next 8 people who order a large or a 3-pack, something more than a large or greater, they're going to get either one of the tumblers or one of the shirts. So we have 8 altogether. So the next 8 orders of that use Red Pill at checkout to get your 10% off. So whatever you order, you'll get 10% off, whether you get the tumblers or the shirts or not. You'll get 10% off if you use Red Pill at checkout for the discount. But we're going to get rid of these 8 items here we've got. So we'll start asking me about sizes and all that.
Well, they're all going to be leaving my show now to go get the shirt and the tumbler. Gabe, we'll be bringing you back on in here in a few weeks, brother. I appreciate you, and I know everybody else does. I'm looking at the comments with people talking about their GOODBRU, so people love it, and I appreciate you coming on and supporting the show. Gabe,
thanks. Hey, I want to hear your thoughts on this Julian Assange rumor that's going around too.
What's the Julian Assange rumor?
Well, there's rumors on Twitter and everything now that Trump's going to pardon him and maybe even bring him in to do something. But what's always so strange about that is why they pardoned everybody on earth under Biden, but they said they gave Assange a deal where he had to keep his mouth shut. So
that would be interesting. That would be very interesting.
But I don't know. Stuff all the time. But
I'll have to look into that one. But crazy. I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Goodbrew.com. That's brew spelled BRU. So GOODBRU.com/redpill and use that code redpill at checkout. And Gabe's a good dude. Appreciate him coming in and supporting the show. And let's jump into the news. I need like a cool transition screen. It's like a road runner running across like the news, right? That would be cool. Someone send me a reminder of that later. Josh, you need transition pages. That would actually be pretty cool. President Trump sends a simple message to the Pope ahead of Secretary of State Marco Rubio's high-stakes meeting. I love this because you're going to see the relevance of it. It's might have something to do with something here. Bring this up. Trump, what do you got to say about the Pope?
Mr. President, you've had some recent back and forth with Pope Leo. I understand Secretary of State Marco Rubio is going to meet with the Pope tomorrow. What message do you hope he delivers to the Holy Father?
Well, I can tell you this, that as far as the Pope is concerned, and it's very simple, whether I make them happy or I don't make them happy, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And he seemed to be saying that they can. And I say they cannot. Because if that happened, the entire world would be hostage, and we're not going to let that happen. That's my only message.
Well, that's an interesting message. He's going back to the nuke talk once again, pertaining to Iran. But why is that the nukes in Iran so critically important here? Well, it's important because of what we're seeing in Iran right now with the divergent factions that are misaligning. And we're going to talk about that part here in a little bit in the show, because this is actually really, really important what we're watching and witnessing in Iran. But I want to show you something I noticed and see if you see it as well. But this is the one part. You have to start to see that the deep state, the globalist cabal, Europe, MI6, they controlled Iran. If Iran had a nuke, they had a nuke that they could use clandestinely, and they use it clandestinely. They can keep the world at hostage. This is what he's talking about. And so he's absolutely right. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. But we're talking about the Pope, and Marco Rubio is going to visit the Pope tomorrow. And I'm wondering if Marco Rubio is carrying a little red folder with him. He's going to go into the Pope's office and he's going to say, hey, you might want to take a look at some of this stuff. And all of a sudden, the Pope comes out and starts praising Donald Trump next week. Why? Because April 3rd, 2018, post 997, the Pope will be having a terrible May. Those who backed him will be pushed into the light, dark the light, truth. Now, that was Pope Francis. We all believe and know that that was Pope Francis. Who knows, though? You can see compromise works both ways, and I think that Marco might be carrying a message with him. So, Trump says he believes that Governor Tim Walz and Ilham Omar are complicit in Somali fraud. Both of them need to be prosecuted. Listen to this, because now we're starting to ramp up. And remember when we told you this back in 2025, that the focus is going to be dismantling the systems within the states and going after these rogue governors, going after all of these politicians in the states. Listen to this.
And what they've done is so sad. When you look at the Minnesota scam, a lot of it has to do with Somalia. Nobody's calling out anybody, but a lot of it has to do, but it's Somalia and plenty of others. And I believe the governor is complicit. I believe Ilhan Omar is complicit. I believe that your attorney general is complicit. And if they are, you're going to hopefully find out about it, and you're going to have to do what you have to do. If we found half of the fraud that's taking place in this country, and I think you have a chance of doing that, we would have much more than a balanced budget. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about.
We would, if we found half the fraud in this country, and I think we're going to do it. Imagine that. I mean, I watched Tim Bellew the other day, Tom Bellew, talk about Warsh coming into the Federal Reserve. And he's looking at how Warsh wants to actually get rid of the U.S. national debt, but he's not looking at it from a 40,000-foot view or a full economic scope of what's happening geopolitically, what's going on with the congressional spending and all of these things and budgetary constraints. But this is what Trump just said, is if we eliminate 50% of the fraud in this country, we will have a balanced budget. Why? Because 50% of our spending, excess spending, is on fraud. So we have Trump saying that Ilham Omar is complicit. Tim Walz and Ilham Omar. What else did Trump say? Well, I wonder if they're actually under investigation. Do you think they're under investigation? We've heard rumors, but maybe Trump knows.
And as you know, Tom Emmer is the House Majority Whip, and he's a fantastic person, real leader. Comes from an interesting place, a place that's under investigation by our great Vice President. They're finding a lot, and Tom Emmer was one of the biggest complainers about what was going on in Minnesota and lots of other places. I also want to say a special thank you to the many moms among our fantastic, and as you know, Tom.
What? Oh, did I pull up the wrong post? Oh, because he said Tim Walz is under investigation. And I think that I believe that they are under investigation. That was the big part right there. So we have Minnesota under investigation. We have Tom Homan with the Department of Homeland Security today announcing that they are moving into New York. And they're asking him, well, what are you going to do if Governor Hochul tries to stop you? And he says, they can't. They have no authority over us. So now you're about to see what happened in Minnesota start to happen in New York. Now you got to remember, though, Scott Bessent came out, right? Scott Bessent. Let me pull up this clip. Let me pull this over here. So Tom Homan right here.
No.
Let's listen to what he's saying about New York State.
Well, Governor Hochul, I'm not asking either. I said it. We're going to do it. She wants to sign legislation. She supports this legislation. It's going to lock us out of jails. It's going to end 287G agreements. And it's going to prevent us from arresting a criminal alien in the safety and security of a jail. We have partnerships in New York, throughout the state. Not everywhere, but she wants to end the partnerships we currently have, which means now we got to send a whole team to look for a criminal that we could arrest in the safety and security of a jail, which is safer for the officer, safer for the alien, certainly safer for the community. So you're forcing us into the neighborhoods to find this person, which means since we lost the efficiencies of the jails that you want to lock us out of, now we got to send a whole team out there to find this person. So of course we're going to increase manpower a lot. And not only that, she says she wants to protect the migrant communities. Really? Because now we arrest an illegal alien. We can't rent a bed from any of the sheriffs in New York State. So what are we going to do? We're going to arrest that illegal alien. We're going to fly them to Texas, Arizona, to one of the detention facilities there, away from their families, away from their attorneys. This is what we have to do because she forces in this position. And we're going to do it. They're not going to stop us. They can put all the roadblocks they want, but we're going to do this job.
Oh, I love it. Now, go back to what Scott Bessent said back in November pertaining to Minnesota. This is the template that we are going to use state to state. Go back to what Donald Trump just said a few minutes ago, is if we can eliminate 50% of the fraud in this country, we will have a balanced budget. What are they talking about? Federal subsidies, federal grants. This is what we're looking at. Minnesota was the template. Now, Tom Homan and his team, what happened in Minnesota? They were the first ones on the ground. The ICE goes in, starts taking on the illegal immigrants. And then guess what? A lot of this criminality is organized around SNAP benefit fraud, Medicaid, Medicare fraud, old folks home fraud. All of this is federal subsidies coming into those states that are being laundered out and then put into the coffers of the politicians. Now they're going into New York. Same template. ICE is going to go in. There's going to be fraud exposed. DOJ is going to go in. Bessent's going to go in. And you begin to see how this unfolds. Then next, Illinois, California, Colorado. It's going to take some time, but it's happening. Quick note. And I know someone said, I understand the sponsorships, but thanks for keeping it under 10 minutes. Yeah, we try to keep those under 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. But sometimes it's usually just getting caught up with a person and then 5 minutes getting caught up and then, 10 minutes of going out there and promoting. And we're very intimate with our sponsors here. We've had the same ones for years and they're awesome. So, but yeah, we try to keep it under 10 minutes. Donald Trump on the passing of Ted Turner. Ted Turner, one of the greatest of all times, just died. He founded CNN, sold it, was personally devastated by the deal because new ownership took CNN, his baby, and destroyed it. It became woke and everything that he is not all about. I don't know, Trump. I love Trump. But Ted Turner was the epitome of a eugenicist and a globalist. Ted Turner was a fucking globalist, dude. Am I surprised Trump said that? No, he's a billionaire and he's friends with these guys, but we have a different perspective. Today, hundreds of federal and local law enforcement agents carried out a huge raid in Los Angeles, California at the Sinaloa cartel fentanyl and meth hotbed. It was a multi-month undercover operation that heated massive amounts of arrests and fentanyl off the streets. Oh, isn't that interesting? What else happened today? Bring this one up. I want to keep raids with raids. The FBI has raided today the office of high-ranking Democrat of Virginia, Senator Louise Lucas, in a major corruption investigation. Senator Lucas is a close ally of Dem Governor Abigail Spanberger, Multiple court-approved search warrants were being executed at Lucas's office, as well as a cannabis dispensary next door, which Lucas is believed to be connected with. Uh-oh. I mean, think about this. You have last week, you had the referendum vote, which they cheated. I mean, 60,000 mail-in ballots comes in after midnight and then changes the vote to the referendum of yes. And all the 64,000 ballots were yes. That doesn't happen. That's not real. They cheated. What happens the next day? A federal judge blocks it. The attorney general says, you can't do that, takes it to the Supreme Court. Virginia Supreme Court comes out and says, no, blocked. What happens? The Supreme Court comes out and says, no, blocked. And so now they're litigating it. Well, this is interesting. So you're seeing massive pushback. As in, this is what we need to see. The Democrats in the states at the beginning of the Trump administration appeared to have power over the federal government, appeared to have a level of control over Trump's optionability. That has flipped. That has flipped. Not only that, is the Trump administration has indicated something to us, is if there is the suspicion of fraud in an election from like 64,000 mail-in ballots dropped at midnight in a referendum vote, that the next day you can be damn well assured a federal judge is going to intervene and the president of the United States is going to intervene and the Supreme Courts are going to side with the people. See, I think that we're in a position where they can't get away with it anymore. As well as we also said that what if the Virginia referendum vote was actually they let it happen? They let it happen because they wanted to catch them in the act. And maybe Senator Lucas here is a part of that. Just saying. Maybe the cannabis dispensary is where the mail-in ballots were all filled out and stored. I don't know. Wouldn't that be crazy? Fulton County, Georgia. I mean, that was a great day. The DOJ has demanded every name, address, and phone number from the 2020 election workers. The full reckoning is here. Democracies do not die in darkness. They are reborn in the disinfectant of glare of scrutiny. This is from Tony Saruga. As Justice Louis Brandeis taught a century ago, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Today, the Department of Justice has wielded precisely that weapon, a grand jury subpoena demanding the names, home addresses, emails, and personal phone numbers of every single individual who staffed, volunteered, counted, reviewed, transported, or otherwise touched the 2020 presidential election in Fulton County, Georgia, the Democrat stronghold at the epicenter of America's most fiercely contested vote. Poll workers, county employees, mobile voting bus drivers, ballot reviewers, the full dramatas persona. 1,000 strong, no exceptions, no shadows left. Fulton officials are in full court panic mode, filing motions to quash and crying harassment and expired statutes. They warn of safety fears for workers, yet one must ask the scholars question. If the process was as flawless and secure as they repeatedly proclaimed, why does naming those who ran it constitute terror instead of transparent exoneration? This is huge. This is huge. What? We got someone in there that just wants to be a troll. Listen, guys, if you wanted to watch the show and you might disagree with some, you can disagree. That's cool. But don't be a troll. That gets you put in timeout. You don't want to go in a timeout because I don't put you in timeout. I just ban you. So let's be cordial. Let's be nice. Appreciate it. All right, so here it is. The U.S. Supreme Court has just dealt the final blow to the Democrats' desperate attempt to reverse the court striking down race-based gerrymandering congressional districts. SCOTUS just denied the Democrats' motion to recall their judgment. Not even Justice Jackson dissented on this one. This is what winning looks like. Yep, in Maricopa, you're going to hear more about Maricopa County next. New declassified Susan Rice email shows Obama and Comey agreed not to proceed by the book regarding the transition of the Trump administration. Obama ordered the FBI to conceal the details of the Russiagate investigation from the incoming National Security Advisor, General Michael Flynn, because they were framing him as the Trump admin contact for Russian intelligence. This is, I mean, it just gets worse and worse for these guys. And let's let it all come out. Remember, we talked about this last night with Cash and everything like that. That the burn bags and the documents in them. Yeah, okay. No, this was military intelligence that preserved these documents. This was January 5th. 2017. Director Comey affirmed that he is proceeding by the book as it relates to law enforcement. From a national security perspective, Comey said he does not have some concerns that incoming NSA Flynn is speaking frequently with Russian Ambassador Kislyak. Comey said that could be an issue as it relates to sharing sensitive information. President Obama asked if Comey was saying that NSC should not pass sensitive information related to Russia to Flynn. Comey replied, potentially. He added that he has no indication thus far that Flynn has passed classified information to Kislyak, but he noted that the level of communication is unusual. And it wasn't unusual. If you go back and you look at the context of what was happening there, he was the incoming national security advisor to the president of the United States. These things are exactly what happens. But they were setting General Michael Flynn up. A DHS report, a DHS official has reported that DNI James Clapper, that there was no indication of evidence of any Russian collusion after the first intelligence community assessment dropped. Obama, Clinton, Brennan, Clapper didn't like that answer. So they went ahead and ordered another ICA to be rewritten on how there was Russia collusion, not if. DNI Clapper also lied under oath to Congress about Russia collusion and the NSA surveillance program, especially when they targeted and were spying on the Trump administration. Think about this. This is treason at the highest levels to undermine an incoming president of the United States of America.
With these documents alleges that then President Obama and his national security team lied about Russia's efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election. Here's former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper.
And I take seriously when the President of the United States accuses me of being a participant in a treasonous conspiracy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that?
It's ridiculous. It is untrue.
So what will you do if they come after you? What is your plan?
Well, I'll lawyer up, I suppose. Already have.
James Clapper was on the team that created, that manufactured intelligence assessment that led to the Iraq war, about the Iraq WMDs. He writes about it in his book, saying that he and his team of intelligence analysts created something that was not there. When you look at his actions then, and you look at his actions in 2016 as Obama's director of national intelligence, you see someone who has no problem whatsoever politicizing and manufacturing and weaponizing intelligence for a political outcome.
I mean, that generation of intelligence leaders, whether it be Clapper or Mike Morell, who instigated the Dirty 51 letter saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, John Brennan, all of them are of the same ilk. They were all there at the beginning of the Iraq lie, and here they are. The Russia collusion lie, the Hunter Biden laptop lie. What will happen to them? Because I can't imagine, they got away with it with Iraq. If they get away with it with Russia, the Russia hoax, what's ever going to stop it?
Accountability.
Jim Comey and I are part of the group that were tasked by President Obama to put together all the reporting we had on the Russian interference.
Obama administration allegedly manufactured and politicized intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election.
We discussed this last night. What did DNI Tulsi Gabbard say? Accountability. You have a grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida. You have Joe DeGenova out there right now reorganizing that whole thing. What is it about? It's about the 2016. It pertains to the year 2016 Intelligence Community Assessment, where they changed it in December because they didn't like what it said. And this is where you get Thomas Speciale that comes out as the whistleblower, and this is where the Burisma CrowdStrike server comes into play that lines back to Hillary Clinton's emails prior to the election with the George Soros's Open Society Foundation's Lenny Bernardo. It's all interconnected, guys. And the fact that this is all coming out right now, because shit is about to hit the proverbial fan and these people are about to be taken down. James Clapper is going to get indicted. And by the way, I saw some people like, oh, Gitmo for these guys. James Clapper is one that could actually probably see a military tribunal or could see some type of court-martial because of this, because he is a retired 4-star general. So just keep that in mind, that the ones that are former service, you can absolutely see these types of things for. Now, we're going to transition into our Iran part of the conversation. But before we do, I just got to run this one on Rumble real quick. So give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Quick question. How much control do you actually have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. Crypto started as a niche, but now it's going mainstream. Faster payments, more control, fewer middlemen. This isn't hype. It's just where things are going. And getting started today is easier than you think. That's where Rumble Wallet comes in. With Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stablecoins, even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. Setup is simple. It connects to MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, credit card, or bank account and be up and running in minutes. Start small, $10, $50, $100. It's not about the amount. It's about getting it in early and understanding what's coming next. And once you're set up, you can even tip your favorite Rumble creators like me directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code and click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. Take control of your money. Get started with Rumble Wallet today. Appreciate Rumble. And okay. Trump said today on Iran, Iran's enriched uranium will be shipped to the United States as part of any deal. If Iran agrees with us, it's over. And if they don't agree, we're going to bomb them. The entire U.S.-Iran negotiation summarized in one breath. And that's spot on right. Now, it sounds to me like someone wants to secure Iranian uranium for nuclear reactors here in the United States of America. I think that's what it is. But Trump's already indicated that this uranium, it is dust. It is underneath rubble that Iran can't even access, and it'd be dangerous for them to access it. Now, Trump is negotiating, I believe, still through Pakistan with what is happening right now. Now, one of the things that I said a while back, and I posted this on X, I said China and Russia will be involved in the negotiations for peace with Iran because they have a vested interest in what happens in Iran and the Straits of Hormuz. And we know that Donald Trump is heading to Beijing on the 15th. So I saw this clip and I said, oh, well, isn't that interesting? And this is, I'm going to put this together for you because this is actually pretty interesting if you begin to see it. But listen to Jesse Waters real quick.
Actually helped move this thing along. They had no choice. For the first time since the war, Iran sent a delegation to Beijing. The Chi-Coms put them on a leash and told the mullahs to quit the straight shenanigans and take the deal. A week before Trump meets Xi Jinping.
President Trump has put out publicly and privately messages to the Chinese. Do not help the Iranians right now. We're trying to isolate them. We're in a war with them. Do not help them out. So the Chinese are very cognizant of that. They don't want to upset President Trump before this big state visit. So yes, I think that these things are all connected.
Sources say the president wants to end the Iran war before his visit to China, and the Chinese do too. Their economy is starting to crack, and with the strait being choked, they're looking down the barrel of an energy crisis.
Damn right they are. That's kind of the whole point of the Iran war, was to put China in an economic turmoil and an energy crisis. This is why the meeting with Xi Jinping got moved to May 15th. So now you have a delegation from Iran over in Beijing, where China's telling the delegation in Iran to cut the shit, take the deal. Now, remember yesterday where we're talking about the strike in UAE, United Arab Emirates? So Iran sent ballistic missiles and drones towards a pipeline in United Arab Emirates. It's all over the news. The president of Iran, Pezeshkian, he comes out and says, hey, what the hell was this all about? He learned about it on the news. Nobody told him. And he condemned the attacks and said, hey, we're sorry. We don't know what happened. Let me figure out what happened here. An hour later, Iranian military comes out and says, hey, we don't care what UAE says. That was not us. We did not launch those attacks. But we got confirmation from all different types of military sources that, yeah, it was Iran. So what the hell's going on here? As I've been saying, is there's multiple factions biting for power in Iran. You have IRGC hardliners that worked for the mullahs on one end. And these are the ones that have been undermining Trump's decisions. This is why Trump's coming out and saying, we got a deal, we're going to pen it, we're going to go out and do this. And then a day later, it's like, what the hell? Now we're dropping bombs on them again. And the reason is because these hardliners keep negating the deals and undermining the civilian leadership. And what Trump is doing is he's leading Iran to a true free republic to where the civilian government has and maintains full control and power over their government. And this is what we're actually seeing rising up. And I'll show you why in a second that this makes sense, because China just got intervened. And I believe that China has various different factions of the IRGC that are kind of aligned with them, or various different people in the IRGC that are aligned with the Iranian civilian side. And I think that the Iranian civilian government is actually taking back over multiple parts of the IRGC one step at a time. Now, you have IRGC Major General Mohsen Reza. He said that America thinks that Iran is a retarded nation that would give up its rights under military threat of coercion. This is wishful thinking. The Iranian people will never accept such a thing, and the word submission is completely outside of our dictionary. So this is one of the people that are the IRGC hardliners that are undermining their civilian counterpart government. So we have various different factions. We have a rogue mullah-controlled faction over here, the IRGC. This is what's sending all the strikes out and doing all this. And then you have the civilian component that's trying to negotiate that Trump is recognizing as the leaders on Iran, so the IRGC can't go and eliminate them. And Trump's recognizing them, and they're trying to get a deal done, but it can't. So now a delegation goes to Beijing, comes back, and it's like, hey, so now you get parts of the IRGC that begin to shed off of those rogue hardliners. And what happened today? Iran's IRGC just hit its own Kurdish opposition groups with Shahed 136 drones in the eastern Erbil region of Iraq. I'll say that again. Iran hit its own rebel fighters, its own opposition fighter groups in Iraq. Why? Because there's factions of the IRGC that are controlled by the civilian government. This faction's not. If they knew a coup was incoming, if they knew that somehow, some way that the IRGC was going to fully take over control of the government, they would stop that at all costs. And this is actually what you're saying. Actually what you're seeing here. And so China is directly involved in these negotiations for peace right now. Now, Trump's trip to Beijing is set for May 14th and 15th. The White House requested a postponement from the original March 31st, April 2nd date, Iran war. Beijing was reportedly irritated by the delay, but accepted the schedule change. Trump has roughly 8 days to either close a deal with Iran or walk into Xi Jinping's room with a war still hanging open. Either way, it doesn't matter what is happening around that point in time. Trump is going to go in there and he is going to negotiate with China. China is in a very, very bad place right now. They haven't started dumping U.S. bonds. I think they're going to buy a lot more U.S. bonds. But on the other side of it is they're in the midst of an energy crisis. They're tapping into their 100 million barrel reserve, which could only last like 30 to 60 days militarily without any civilian infrastructure. They cannot buy oil at 30% market rate anymore because Iran and Venezuela have been shut out to them. And I believe Trump's going to walk in there and he is going to make a deal to where China is going to buy hundreds of billions of dollars of oil and gas from the United States of America. Now, why? Because you have to understand the context of the world that's unfolding before us. Artificial intelligence. Pandora's box has been opened. You're not closing it. Artificial intelligence is the future. It is technologically where everything is heading. Everybody sees it. Automation, robots, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has three foundationary roots. Now, whoever controls these three foundations is going to control the world for the next 100 years. It's whoever obtains artificial superintelligence is going to rule the world for the next 100 years. If China does it, the United States of America ceases to exist. If Trump does it, the United States will dominate in the tech sector, and the world can move towards a multipolar world framework. But China cannot obtain artificial superintelligence before the United States of America. Therefore, Trump has went out and he began attacking, going after the three core fundamentals of artificial intelligence: computation, data, and energy. So when you control energy that's flowing to China, you're hurting the progression of artificial intelligence. Their exponential progression has now just been fairly limited. So when Trump goes out there and he now controls Venezuelan oil, he controls the Panama Canal. That is a massive energy corridor that is shut off from China. It came out through the national security strategy and the national defense doctrine that, hey, the Northern Hemisphere is ours and we will protect it. Get the hell out. Next, he goes after the Strait of Hormuz. He goes after Iran. He liberates Iran from the controls of the London bankers. He goes out there and he begins demolishing all the London bankers' infrastructure within the Middle East. Why? Because that's how you artificially manipulate energy and gas prices, of which they've done for the last 47 years because of the control over Iran with what's known as the Iran terror premium. But in the midst of all of that, because of the sanctions that are on Iran, China has been buying gas and oil from Iran at 30% of market rate, and 85% of all Iranian oil flows to China. China is shut off from both of those energy corridors right now and is paying full market value price for energy. Now, they have to go out there and they have to buy energy from, Bahrain and from UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Russia. Well, Russia has had a lot of limitations of its sanctions lifted, which means that their oil and gas is now going up to full market value. But then also they would have to go and contest with Qatar and UAE. Well, these are countries that are in a defense cooperation and defense pact agreement with the United States of America for weapons, which means that if China decided to wage war on the United States of America, the United States of all they have to do is go out there and force their pact agreements with those Gulf nation states, and they can produce a proxy sanctions on energy for China, and China knows this. Hence why the best deal that Xi Jinping can do is go out there and do an energy deal with the United States of America, because it ensures mutually insured economic destruction for both of us, that we both progress at a somewhat equal playing rate, and that because China is dependent upon American energy, because China is dependent on global energy that is controlled through the accessibility of corridors by the United States of America, China now acquiesces towards a world war. They no longer need to fight. They capitulate. And the world progresses in a multipolar world framework. And this is where we're headed right now. And this is exactly what is happening. I said this the other day. I said you had Ukraine out there the other day. And you remember Ukraine took out Russia's second largest oil refinery in a long-range drone strike that disabled 3 of the 4 crude distillation units. Now, I said that because, number one, Ukraine is being funded by Europe. Europe is basically attacking Russia. Why? Because Russia is one of the main oil suppliers of the world. Remember, they were manipulating everything in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. They can't do that anymore. So now they're going to try to take down Russia because they know Putin is working with Trump. So Ukraine did this yesterday. Putin today came out and put a warning out. Russia just dropped an ominous warning: evacuate your diplomats from Kyiv ASAP. Moscow says it will strike decision-making centers in the capital of Ukraine if it messes with its May 9th Victory Day parade. In other words, if Ukraine attacks, drops one single freaking bomb, iota of a drone part, on anywhere on Russian troops, Russian people, Russian territory, it is full freaking fledged war. Putin will go in and finish the job, taking out command and control centers within Kyiv. Exactly what I said he would do if Zelensky crossed the line. So we can potentially see that happen over the course of the next few days. Today, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick voluntarily appeared and testified on the Epstein committee before the House Oversight Committee. Dude, Lutnick's guilty. I don't care what people are saying. Howard Lutnick was absolutely a client of Epstein's. The dude was getting blowjobs and massages, and he was in the dentist chair. I don't care what he says. Lutnick, in my mind, is guilty. Does that mean he shouldn't be on the Trump administration? Not my decision. That's Donald Trump's. But I think that if Donald Trump ever found out that that is the truth, well, I think Howard Lutnick would be gone pretty fast. But as a smart, intelligent man, I like Lutnick. Was he involved with 9/11, had pre-information about it? I believe he was. But that's a conspiracy theory for another day. Kash Patel has confirmed that the FBI has submitted their UFO records to the White House for public release. And we're getting a lot of information that this is going to be happening very, very soon. That the UFO files are coming, and that everybody heard that a lot of these pastors are being briefed by members of our government. Deal with their parishioners with the shell shock, the paradigm change that's going to come from supposed documents. What's in these documents? I've laid it out. It's a 3-phase plan. Actually, that's gonna be my next blog. It's the 3-phase plan. And to what's her name? She joined to Paige. Send me a message about this Substack, the 3-phase UFO disclosure plan. She sent me a reminder about the transition pages. So I'm telling Paige to send me a reminder about that too. You're awesome. Thank you so much, Paige. Guys, we're heading over to the Q&A after chat. This is where you get to ask me questions. It's on Zoom. The best way to go in there is become a premium subscriber on YouTube, Rumble. You have Substack and X or socialredpill.com. That's where Paige is. Paige is on socialredpill.com. Socialredpill.com is the web address, socialredpill.com. You can sign up there. And once you're inside on any of those platforms, you will see the link come out in about 5 minutes from now, right after the intro is done. You'll see the link come out, and you can just join and click on that Zoom link, and I will see you on over there. But go on over to redpills.tv. I'll keep the link up for everybody throughout the outro video. But I hope to see you guys all there. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. And yes, we will be back with you tomorrow, doubleheader tomorrow with the OG show afterwards. So take care, guys. We'll see you. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Through the smoke, a voice still calls. We the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see, the silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time, now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!